The story of Romeo and Juliet isn't precisely an original work from William Shakespeare, but it does give voice to the complexity of questions such as, is fate inescapable, is a fault in themselves or in some cosmic infallibility, and should people value personal wishes over others? For the 19th century, entertaining a crowd included the bear garden or just performing a play. Not all people were completely entertained by plays, and even Shakespeare knew this, so he pandered to his audience and what was trendy for the 19th century. Shakespeare's story is set in Verona, Italy, and it includes two star-crossed lovers, Romeo and Juliet. Romeo is the son and heir of Montague and Lady Montague. He is about 16 and can be described as handsome, intelligent, and emotional. Romeo is impulsive and immature, yet passionate, and this lays light to understanding that Romeo is just a teenager. Romeo's only interest seems to be love, and he was once madly in love with a woman named Rosaline, but he instantly changed his feelings once he sees Juliet at first sight. This gives the means to question whether Romeo's love is truly authentic, or he simply just cares about the concept of love. Juliet is the daughter of Capulet and Lady Capulet. She is described as a beautiful, naive, and courageous 13-year-old teenager. She is under care and supervision because she is a girl in an aristocratic family. Her closest friend is the nurse, but her love for Romeo dwarfs out her polite feelings towards the nurse. In the prologue of the story, Romeo and Juliet are presented as star-crossed lovers. This means that their fate is sealed and it's something they cannot control. But the conflicting opposite of this is when Friar mentions, these sudden joys have sudden endings. They burn up in victory like fire and gunpowder. When they meet, as in a kiss, they explode. Too much honey is delicious, but it makes you sick to your stomach. Therefore, love each other in moderation. That is the key to long-lasting love. Too fast is as bad as too slow. The quote from Friar gives some praise to the idea that the lovers have control over what might happen, and if something were to happen, it would be their fault. But this conflicts with star-crossed lovers because it would mean that their fate would be out of control. This is just the surface of some complexities Shakespeare brings up in Romeo and Juliet. Tragedy is a branch of drama that treats in a serious and dignified style the sorrowful or terrible events encountered or caused by a heroic individual. But throughout the story, many of the unfortunate events that occurred were from chance, like the letter not being sent to Romeo, the offset timing Romeo killed himself, and Friar being too late to save the lovers. Romeo and Juliet is described as a Shakespearean tragedy. Shakespearean tragedy follows the Aristotle's theory of tragedy in some ways, and it includes 9 elements that helps figure out whether something is a Shakespearean tragedy. This still includes a character with a major flaw. The one major flaw some people would point out for Romeo and Juliet is their insane love for each other, and their attempts to make it real no matter what. So, let's leave tragedy at that. There are instances where the main character tries to change the rules of the universe. For example, Juliet tells the horses that draw the sun to gallop apace, you fiery-footed steeds. The characters always seek control over something because it is the only way they can have all of what they want: their faith, their families at peace, and life in their hometown. Due to trying to please everyone around them, they ended up dying. If they had just run away together or hooked up without getting married, they probably would have survived. Their love is an over-the-top response to the unjust world in which they live in. But they cannot deny or reject the patriarchal authority because it is challenging for teenagers. The lover's tragedy is conflicted as fate or as their own doing, but the way you answer these complex questions in the story could say a lot about you. Whether if it's an unconscious realization or a conscious realization, the questions brought up in Romeo and Juliet is the same questions you would have answered in your life. Stories about love in an unjust world are still being created, and it is still an interesting topic. A cynical way to summarize Romeo and Juliet in a few words is that Romeo and Juliet is not a love story, but instead a 3-day relationship between teenagers that caused 6 deaths. But I prefer thinking about the amazing ways Shakespeare made such legendary stories.